Every good once in a while, a particular game will come along and resonate with me on an entirely different level than most. It's never the usual suspects either, almost always a surprise. Today I wanted to talk about one of the few to do so, the emotional, heartwarming, and inspirational gem that is Celeste. Celeste, released on January 25th, 2018 by Matt Makes Games, was personally an early standout for the Nintendo Switch. On its surface, Celeste looks like your typical indie platformer, a dime a dozen. But what makes Celeste such an experience lies much deeper. It's a game with fairly simple controls and abilities that slowly expand with time: jump, dash, and wall climb. With each new area, the game introduces brand new environmental puzzles, each more difficult and rewarding than the prior. On difficulty, Celeste can be a beautifully brutal game that is constantly testing you and your abilities to scale this mountain. Or it can be a relatively relaxing stroll up to the summit with the game's intuitive assist mode. Once in the mode, which can be turned on or off at will without punishment, you can do a variety of different options like becoming invincible, extending your air dash ability, giving yourself infinite stamina, or even skip entire chapters. The game isn't difficult for difficult's sake, it plays a role in the narrative. Celeste follows Madeline, a 20-something-year-old woman who's coping from intense panic attacks, creeping anxiety, and looming depression. Scaling Mount Celeste is a personal challenge Madeline sets forth for herself that leads her to face her inner demons, in addition to the trials that the mountain provides. Madeline's inner demon is given ethereal form through the power of the mountain, who we'll refer to as Badeline. Badeline is Madeline's suppressed, self-deprecating inner voice who serves as the antagonist of sorts for the story. Along with Badeline, we're introduced to a few other colorful characters that all bring something different to the narrative. Mr. Oshiro, the ghost concierge of an abandoned hotel whose own anxiety and crippling depression leads his beloved hotel to fall to ruins. Granny, a doubtful and outspoken old woman. And Theo, an aspiring photographer from Seattle who came to Mount Celeste not only for some quality photography, but to also search for a connection to his late grandfather, who had scaled the mountain years before. Celeste delivers in many different ways than one, all building upon each other to make this a wholly inspiring experience. The difficulty, the characters, the varying environments, and story beats all fold into one little beautiful package. The bow on top has to be the outstanding music by Lena Raine. Celeste's soundtrack is an emotional and soothing ride that complements the already home-hitting narrative with incredible effect. I find myself listening to it even now as I'm writing the script, taking me back through all the stops I had visited on my journey through this initial 10.5-hour climb. From the moment you boot up the game, you're greeted with an encouraging message. Just breathe. You can do it. And when obstacles stood in my way and I felt like a wall had been hit, I recalled that message and did just that. Breathed. Even throughout the experience, the game reminds you to relax, to calm down. The game encourages you to overcome your struggles, to ascend this mountain, not only for your sake, but for Madeline's. Just shy of your final climb to the summit, Badeline makes a dramatic return and reluctantly causes the both of you to hit rock bottom. Literally. You both fall below the mountain's base, to the caverns below. It is then that Madeline realizes she can't do this alone. She needs Badeline's help as well. She then chooses to accept who she is and all of her varied flaws. Madeline realizes her inner voice isn't simply mean for mean's sake. It's fear. Fear of failing. Fear of falling. Upon the realization, the two of them reconcile, becoming whole, and they soar. By opening up, accepting herself, and confronting her inner voice, Madeline's able to reach her summit. All of her troubles behind her. She did it, despite everything she had been put through. She climbed her mountain. And this is where it hits home for me. For years, making videos was the love of my life. I worked on a variety of different types, from skits to film reviews and even straight up Let's Plays. But over time, my inner voice took hold, grew in volume. It began to dictate how I approached content creating as a whole. I began to doubt myself and my ability. I told myself repeatedly I had nothing of worth to say, that no one had any interest in my content. Over years of struggling, beating myself up day in and day out, I gave in to the sustaining toxicity. I quit. I let go. And so for years now, I've taken my time enjoying the little things, gathering myself, my thoughts, and coming to terms with who I am and all of my varied flaws. Preparing for the climb once more. I've got something to say, something to offer, and I won't hold myself back any further. I can't. If there's one thing Celeste has taught me, it's to breathe when the winds get rough. Just breathe. That with focus, determination, and a little self-discovery, I can overcome my obstacles. I can do this. I can climb my mountain too.